Picture this, a woman so scandalous that her own husband had to have her executed just to save face. Her name was Valeria Messalina, and she wasn't just any Roman woman. She was the wife of Emperor Claudius. But here's the thing that'll blow your mind. She made modern reality TV stars look like saints. We're talking about a woman who turned adultery into an art form, who competed with prostitutes for fun, and who nearly brought down the entire Roman Empire with her wild behavior. Today we're diving deep into the shocking true story of Rome's most notorious empress. Fair warning though, what you're about to hear might make you question everything you thought you knew about ancient Rome. So buckle up, because this story has more twists than a soap opera and more scandal than a tabloid magazine. Let's start with who Messalina actually was, because her background makes her story even crazier. Born around 17 AD, Valeria Messalina came from one of Rome's most prestigious families. Her great-great-grandmother was Augustus's sister, which meant she had imperial blood running through her veins. She married Claudius when she was just a teenager, and he was already in his 40s. Now Claudius wasn't exactly the catch of Rome. He had a limp, he stuttered, and most people thought he was an idiot. But here's where it gets interesting. When Caligula was assassinated in 41 AD, the Praetorian Guard found Claudius hiding behind a curtain and declared him emperor. Suddenly, this awkward, overlooked man became the most powerful person in the world. And Messalina, she went from being a nobleman's wife to the Empress of Rome overnight. But power did something to Messalina that nobody expected. Instead of embracing the dignity that came with her position, she decided to explore every possible way to break Roman social norms. And boy, did she break them. Let's talk about her most famous exploit, the one that historians still can't believe actually happened. According to Pliny the Elder, Messalina once challenged Rome's most successful prostitute to a contest. Not a contest of wit or skill, mind you, but a contest to see who could sleep with more men in a single night. The prostitute's name was Scylla, and she was legendary in Rome's red light district. But Messalina didn't just beat her, she absolutely crushed the competition. While Scylla managed 25 partners, Messalina reportedly reached 25 and kept going. She didn't stop until she had been with 25 men, and according to the historical accounts, she was still ready for more when dawn broke. Think about that for a second. The Empress of Rome, one of the most powerful women in the world, sneaking out of the palace to compete with prostitutes. But that wasn't even close to her most shocking behavior. Messalina had a thing for role-playing, and not the innocent kind. She would dress up as a common prostitute and work in the brothels of Rome. But here's the kicker. She did this while she was pregnant with Claudius's children. Roman historians describe how she would wear a blonde wig to disguise herself and take on clients just like any other working woman. The Empress of Rome was literally moonlighting as a prostitute for fun. And the craziest part, she apparently loved every minute of it. Now you might be wondering how she got away with all this. The answer is simple. Claudius was completely clueless. While his wife was out living her double life, he was buried in his studies. Claudius was actually a brilliant historian and scholar, but he was hopeless when it came to reading people. He trusted Messalina completely, and she took advantage of that trust in every way possible. She would tell him she was visiting friends or attending religious ceremonies. Meanwhile, she was exploring every corner of Rome's underground world. But Messalina's adventures weren't just about physical pleasure. She was also power-hungry in ways that would make modern politicians jealous. She started using her position to destroy anyone who crossed her. If someone refused her advances or insulted her, they would mysteriously end up charged with treason. She had people executed just because she didn't like them. One famous case involved a senator named Appius Silanus. Messalina wanted him gone, so she convinced Claudius that Silanus was plotting against him, She even got her mother to back up the story. Poor Silanus was executed before he even knew what hit him. This became Messalina's pattern: seduce, manipulate, and eliminate anyone who stood in her way. But her most audacious move was still to come. In 48 AD, while Claudius was away in Ostia, Messalina did something that shocked even jaded Roman society. She married another man. Not secretly, not in a private ceremony, but in a full public wedding with all the traditional rituals. The man was Gaius Silius, a young and handsome senator who was considered one of Rome's most eligible bachelors. Now, Roman law was pretty clear about this sort of thing. You couldn't be married to two people at once. But Messalina didn't care about Roman law. She was drunk on power and convinced she could get away with anything. The wedding was lavish, with hundreds of guests, and all the ceremony you'd expect for a senatorial marriage. They even signed official marriage contracts. Some historians think Messalina was planning to have Claudius killed and rule through her new husband. Others believe she was just so addicted to breaking taboos that she couldn't help herself. Either way, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. When news of the wedding reached Claudius's advisors, they knew they had to act fast. Narcissus, one of Claudius's most trusted freedmen, raced to Ostia to tell the emperor what had happened. At first, Claudius didn't believe it. Even when presented with witnesses and evidence, he struggled to accept that his wife had betrayed him so completely. But once the truth sank in, he was furious. The man who had been too trusting suddenly became coldly efficient. He ordered the immediate execution of both Messalina and Silius. Silius was caught first and killed without trial. Messalina, realizing her game was finally up, fled to her mother's house. But there was nowhere to hide from an angry emperor. The Praetorian Guard found her in her mother's gardens and killed her on the spot. She was only 31 years old. Her reign of scandal had lasted just 13 years, but in that time, she had shocked Rome like no woman before or since. But here's what makes Messalina's story even more fascinating. She wasn't just some crazy person acting randomly. She was actually quite intelligent and calculating. Every scandal, every affair, every political move was carefully planned. She understood that Roman society was built on appearances and reputation. By deliberately destroying both, she was making a statement about the hypocrisy she saw around her. Roman men could have mistresses, visit prostitutes, and engage in all kinds of behavior that would destroy a woman's reputation. But women were expected to be pure, faithful, and invisible. Messalina rejected all of that. She decided that if she had power, she was going to use it exactly the way men did. The problem was that Roman society wasn't ready for a woman who acted like a man. They could handle cruel emperors, corrupt senators, and violent generals. But a woman who openly flaunted sexual and social conventions, that was too much. What's really interesting is how different historians have interpreted her story over the centuries. Some see her as a victim of a repressive society who was just trying to find freedom. Others view her as a dangerous sociopath who nearly destroyed the empire. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. She was a complex woman, living in a complex time, trying to navigate a world that gave her unlimited power, but strict limits on how she could use it. Her story also tells us a lot about Roman attitudes toward women and sexuality. The fact that her behavior was seen as so shocking reveals just how restricted Roman women really were. Sure, Roman women had more freedom than women in many other ancient societies. But that freedom came with invisible chains that Messalina refused to wear. Her legacy lived on long after her death too. For centuries, her name became synonymous with female excess and scandal. Writers used her as an example of what happened when women got too much power. But maybe that's the wrong lesson to take from her story. Maybe the real lesson is about what happens when society creates impossible standards and then acts shocked when someone refuses to follow them. So there you have it, the wild, shocking, and ultimately tragic story of Valeria Messalina, a woman who had everything Roman society could offer, but wanted something it couldn't give her: true freedom. Her story reminds us that history is full of people who refuse to fit into the boxes society built for them. Sometimes that rebellion leads to progress and change. Sometimes it leads to tragedy. And sometimes, like with Messalina, it leads to both. What do you think about her story? Was she a pioneer fighting against an unfair system? Or was she just someone who let power corrupt her completely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on this incredible historical figure. And if you enjoyed diving into this scandalous piece of Roman history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the people who shocked the ancient world. Trust me, history is way more interesting than they taught you in school.